Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
The Blue Jays are working on something right now that most people aren't even paying attention to, and a brand new report just came out about a player they're seriously pursuing who might be way more valuable than anyone realizes. We're breaking down exactly who this is, why the noise around him has been completely misleading, and what it could mean if Toronto actually pulls this off. Plus, we've got updates on Tucker, Bregman, and some revealing comments from newly signed pitcher Cody Ponce that tell us a lot about where this organization is headed. Stick with me through this whole thing because there's a major misconception floating around about this player that everyone bought into, and it's completely wrong. What's going on, everyone? And thanks for being here. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time because we're bringing you daily Blue Jays coverage and breaking down every move as it happens. Let's jump right in because there's a lot to unpack today. And honestly, we're at that point in the offseason where everyone's getting restless waiting for the big dominoes to fall. But while everyone's obsessing over Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger, the Blue Jays might be making a completely different kind of move that changes everything. So here's what's happening. Reports started flying a couple days ago that the Blue Jays have serious interest in Japanese first baseman Munetaka Murakami. Then yesterday, John Morosi doubled down on it. We've also heard speculation from John Heyman and others that Murakami is drawing attention from teams like the Red Sox, Mariners, Tigers, and Mets. This is a guy who hit 56 home runs in a season. He's a left-handed power bat, which is exactly what Toronto needs, and apparently they're very interested now. I did a video on him a few weeks back, and at the time there was this massive misconception floating around about him that honestly made a lot of people, myself included, pump the brakes a bit. But now we're getting clarity, and the Blue Jays clearly see something here because they're still in on him even as his signing window starts closing. Ken Rosenthal came out last night calling Murakami the biggest mystery in the market because we haven't heard tons of teams getting heavily involved, and he's viewed as somewhat of a boom or bust guy in the eyes of clubs. So you've got reports saying the Jays are battling the Red Sox for him, but not a ton of noise overall. We barely heard his name at the winter meetings. People are wondering why that is, and I think I know the answer, and it ties directly into this misconception I'm about to explain. Let's look at his numbers real quick. From 2022 on, Murakami has been putting up OPS numbers over 1,000 in the NPB. In 2025, he hit 24 home runs. The year before, 33 home runs. He's a very solid player, and in theory, the Jays have an opening at third base, depending on how they configure things with Addison Barger, Ernie Clement, and whether they land another outfielder. But here's where things got messy. A few weeks back, there was a tweet that went absolutely viral, and I mean viral. It got 3.5 million views, and it claimed that Murakami had a batting average under 100 against pitches 93 miles per hour or harder last season in the NPB. That specific stat made it sound like he can't handle velocity, which obviously is a massive red flag for a guy trying to make the jump to Major League Baseball where everyone throws hard. People saw that stat and ran with it. I saw it. Media members saw it. Nobody really fact-checked it because it seemed like such a specific thing to just make up. There were genuine concerns about his bat speed against velocity, and that narrative spread everywhere, except here's the problem. It wasn't true, like at all. Once people actually dug into the numbers, they found that in 2025, Murakami was well above league average against velocity. He posted an 833 OPS against pitches 93 miles per hour or faster, and an 826 OPS against 95 plus. So the entire narrative that he can't hit velocity was based on a stat that was just flat out wrong. Now, obviously, front offices knew this. They have their own scouting and data. But the media and a lot of fans, myself included, bought into it because everyone was repeating it. I read that stat, assumed it was accurate because people I trust were citing it, and I didn't dig deeper. That's on me. But now that we know the real story, suddenly Murakami looks like a completely different prospect. This is a guy who had a 56 home run season. He's got serious power from the left side, which Toronto desperately needs. He can play first and third. giving them positional flexibility, and he's only 25 years old, entering his age 26 season with a career OPS of 945. Is there risk? Absolutely. Any international signing carries risk. But is it as big as people thought a few weeks ago? Not even close. So now the question becomes, does he make sense for the Blue Jays? His 45-day negotiating window is closing soon, so he's going to have to make a decision. And Toronto is clearly plotting something here because they keep showing up in reports as a serious contender. If they land Kyle Tucker, does that change their calculus on Murakami? He's reportedly seeking a significant contract, and there are other Japanese players available like Khazuma Okamoto who might fit certain needs better. But the fact that the Jays are still in on Murakami tells me they see real value here. And now that the velocity concerns have been debunked, it makes a lot more sense why they'd be pushing for him. Here's where it gets interesting from a roster construction standpoint. Murakami doesn't really interfere with the Tucker pursuit or even the Bregman stuff. At this point, I don't think Toronto signs both Tucker and Bregman. That feels like too much, although my opinion on that shifts a little bit every day depending on what reports come out. But if Tucker's market drags into January like some people are suggesting, maybe the Jays try to get ahead of it and secure that left-handed power bat they've been chasing. Maybe they pivot to a Murakami plus Bregman offseason instead. Then you'd have to figure out how that works with guys like Ernie Clement and where everyone slots defensively, but those are good problems to have. There have also been rumblings about the Jays being in on Bregman, who's now reportedly being heavily targeted by the Diamondbacks. You know, there's a lot of moving pieces here. And when you look at the top free agents still available, Murakami is right in that mix. You've got Tucker at the top, then Bregman and Bellinger, and several strong Japanese players who haven't signed yet. A lot of these NPB guys are still on the board, and maybe the pressure's building on them to pick a team, or maybe it's on the teams to step up and make competitive offers. The market for international players has slowed down, and teams seem more risk-averse now, even though we've seen guys like Yamamoto and Ohtani work out incredibly well. Sure, there are misses like Yoshida in Boston, but the upside is undeniable when you get it right. We're approaching Christmas now, and a ton of top free agents are still unsigned. That raises the question of what the Blue Jays have up their sleeve. The answer is definitely something big. It's just a matter of how big they're willing to go. Speaking of recent acquisitions, Cody Ponce just spoke out about why he joined the Blue Jays, and his comments are worth noting. He said, quote, "I want to win baseball games. I want to win a World Series. Anything I can do to be the best help to this team, that's what I'm going to do." That's almost identical to what Dylan Cease said when he joined Toronto. There's clearly a shift happening where players are viewing the Blue Jays as a legitimate contender, making the World Series change the perception of this organization. And now free agents want to come here to win. Ponce wants to win. Cease wants to win. And that's exactly why guys like Murakami or Tucker or Bregman would choose Toronto. Even Buck Martinez said recently he thinks Bichette's going to come back because he wants to win with the Jays. Everything is lining up, and whether that's in their pursuit of the Japanese slugger or Kyle Tucker or someone else entirely, the plan is becoming crystal clear. One last thing worth mentioning, Scott Boras said he thinks it might take some time for the top free agent starting pitchers to sign after Dylan Cease set the market with Toronto. That's notable because the Jays aren't really in the market for another elite starter at this point. Maybe a swingman who can fill that Eric Lauer type role, but they've got their rotation set. It was smart for Toronto to move early on Cease because the starting pitching market has really slowed down. Guys like Flaherty, Valdez, Suarez, King, and Allen are all still unsigned. The Jays locked down one of the best arms available before the market got complicated, and that's paying off now. So here's where we stand. The Blue Jays are actively pursuing Munetaka Murakami, despite the noise you might have heard about him not being able to handle velocity. That narrative was based on false information, and now that the real numbers are out there, he looks like a legitimate power bat who could slot right into this lineup. His signing window is closing soon, so we should know something relatively quickly. Meanwhile, Tucker's timeline remains unclear. Bregman's got other suitors, and the entire offseason is still wide open for Toronto to make multiple big moves. Christmas is right around the corner, and hopefully we get a major signing as a gift real soon. All right, That's everything you need to know about where things stand with Murakami and the rest of the Blue Jays offseason. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on whether they should go after him. Hit that like button if you found this breakdown helpful, and make sure you're subscribed because we're covering every development as it happens. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.